the other programs also. Okay. Yeah, well, I'm still up. Diesel mechanics. Diesel technology, the same thing applies. Level 2 certificates and a level, or 2 level 1 certificates and a level 2 certificate, as well as everything caps off with an associate's degree. These programs are, again, competency-based, self-paced programs. They start off when you want to and take one at a time and complete them as you go through. Registration is in the same process to the CATE Center. You'll contact the CATE office. Veronica Martin is our lead person at the CATE Center. She's the one, as well as her crew. She's got a couple of assistants in there to help you out. But they are self-paced, they're competency-based. That means that you do the work. As you do the work, you progress through at your own pace. A lot of people like those because they can get things done. Our safety guidelines, again, lab restrictions due to COVID. We're going to bring in a maximum number it's allowed, which we're trying to, we have enough space in the labs to do, I think, 10 per lab safely. And everybody bring your own mask. And Mr. Kirshner is the the diesel instructor. That's his phone number. And Jamie Payne is the office administration person again. We also have an industrial technology website, email address that if you want to address something me or the industrial technology department, you can send it through that web address or email address. Okay. And it's a diesel. Okay. Now, computer-aided drafting isn't under my department. It falls actually under the math department because of engineering and things fall under there. But the computer-aided drafting has an associate's degree at level 2 and 1 level 1 certificate. Registration, there's I can't remember, Melinda, I think her name is. Oh, it should be popped up there soon. The summer courses, I think, are pretty much done with. We're going to start the fall semester, and the courses are listed in the catalog. I think this is one that should have changed, and it did not. Our safety guidelines, again, we're in that same process with, they have a very large labs. I think there's 3 labs down there for the graphic or the CAD program. Contact information is Melinda Hernandez. That's her phone number and fax, and they got their own email addresses. You can contact people there. So if you got any questions, or you can get a hold of someone in our advising. They can help direct you if you're in the building there. Their occupational skills and a certificate, and they have a certificate of completion and their associate's degree. And that outlines how many hours for each of those. CAD is a lot to do with the blueprints and drafting. They did have a 3D printer in there at one time that they were programming. So I think they still have that or have the program format. So, okay. Our HVAC program, that still falls under my department. We have, again, a level 1, 2 level 1 certificates, a level 2, and a associate's degree. The level 1 certificates are primarily can be done in a 1-year time period. The level 2 means 2 years, so that's all the classes. Usually, if you complete the level 1, both level 1s, there's only 3 or 4 classes left over to actually complete the level 2 in your associate's degree. The associate's degrees, you'll add in another math, English, government class, and a fine arts class. Oh, yeah, and returning students, enroll now. Check out your degree plan. Get with your instructors or Veronica Martin in our advising office, and she can help get you signed up. Again, we do social distancing. You'll do all your hands-on in the labs, and we kind of restrict that one to, again, a certain number to make sure that we maintain social distancing. And as you finish all your work online, you'll schedule with your instructor to come in and complete your lab work. Mr. Gearing and Mr. Jackson are the instructors. They've been there for a couple of years now, and we've really got a fine operation in there. Okay. I think this is my last one, hopefully. Yeah, we have 2 level 1 certificates in welding, a level 2 certificate, and an associate's degree, just the same as all the other programs. They're going to go with what you have to progress through one certificate at a time, complete the level 2, and then cap it off with the associate's degree. We also have a Fort Hood certificate that was set up for shipbuilding. So we do a lot of criteria, meet the qualification criteria for some shipbuilding certifications. But we don't do the certifications at the school, but we know what the standards are. So, and it's all in competency-based, self-paced programs. Classes, they start on a daily basis, self-paced, competency-based every day. We go, that program starts at 8 o'clock in the morning and it goes until 10 o'clock at night. So again, it's your schedule when you want to come, and it's available throughout the whole day primarily. Okay, social distancing again. In the welding program, each one of the labs have, the welding booths have big concrete brick walls, as well as a very high, expensive air evacuation system to remove fumes and things like that. So the air is replenished in that lab completely every 5 minutes. So there's not a whole lot of things that you can really catch in there, except for maybe a piece of burnt metal if you grab it too fast. And the contact information is Mr. Aaron Otis, Mr. Edwards, myself, and Jamie Payne, again, is our office assistant. Any of these emails or phone numbers you can contact for any questions about welding. I think that's all of mine.
Yep, and here's aviation. The aviation program is an associate of applied science, so it's an associate degree. And we'll look at the degree plan here in a little bit, but we do have all the different instrument approaches into the airport in the area that we don't have to travel too far to go out and practice all the different types of approaches that we need to. Even though that we have military airspace right here by us, they do provide our local military control, but we're able to utilize them instead of a busier type of airspace. And then one of the other things that we do have, and of course COVID is affecting all of this, is our flight competition. We're getting ready for a regional competition and found out that due to COVID-19, it's all been pushed back to the spring semester. It's going to have to probably be a year that will end up getting skipped just the way we do things and stuff. But we'll see. We're still going to get together and flight team. We'll practice some of those types of events as well. The aviation degree plan is 60 credit hours. And you see in here the very first course, private pilot flight, that is a flight course. And the private pilot ground school would be things that you would be taking the first semester. A lot of people that contact the department always ask if they are going to be flying right off the bat, and the answer is yes. The private pilot course will probably take you almost 2 semesters to get completed, even though it's kind of set up in a semester program due to weather, some other types of things, flight availability issues. Sometimes it may take longer than the 1 semester. So we'll just roll in, we kind of continue on and get you finished with that before you jump into the other flight courses and other classes and stuff that you see there. So Our contact information up at the top is my contact information. I'm the chief flight instructor as well as department chairman, and be reached at those email addresses. Ariel Sanders, our main office number there, 254-526-1241, is how you can get a hold of Ariel, and she can help you with a lot of the problems and stuff that come up. And a lot of times I'm going to be up flying during the day, and Ariel can get you what you need to email or phone call away to get those things. So, and then just a list of the faculty. Some of these changed. Mr. Gibson actually retired. We changed that one, but Mr. Hutera is still here. Mr. Rami Al Nasser. We've got other flight instructors as well that make up our faculty here at Central Texas College. As we look at everything else here, there's a little presentation that talks about enrolling and specifically into the talking to the gate advising team or talking to the program instructors. I'm sure Ronnie would agree that our administrative assistants help out a lot with keeping our students on track and making sure that they're taking the classes and stuff. Instead of going in and talking to an advisor, a lot of the advisors at CTC are maybe not familiar enough with the aviation program, and they'll just have you contact the department who can help you with all that. And I'm sure Jamie Payne is the same in industrial technology as far as helping students out and helping you get enrolled into the courses that you need to. As far as paying for classes, we're talking about new students using veteran benefits. The advising team can help you with that. We do have an advisor here on campus that can go over and talk to you about what you would be eligible for veterans assistance stuff. The flight courses, get asked all the time about that. The flight courses, there are some GI bills that will pay for flight fees, and there are some that won't. So that's why we normally have you contact financial aid or talk to the veteran assistance office and stuff to make sure that your GI bill will cover the particular portion of this again. We also, it's not listed here, but just in aviation classes, it is possible to do a payment plan. It's probably one of the few things that you can do a payment plan for at CTC, but in the fall and spring semester, you can do a payment plan. You pay 50% up front, and then I think it's about 8 to 10 weeks later, you pay the other 25%, and then a few weeks later, you pay the rest of the amount. So, but financial aid can also help with all those things as well. What's the flipped classroom model?
That's a Ronnie thing.
Yeah, like I was mentioning at the beginning, our program now is kind of flipped the classroom model. So we have taken all the courses and blended them to where you will start online through a learning platform called Course Sites. Once when you've completed all your cognitive and your learning theory areas, you'll then be tested on those, and then the instructors will schedule your time to come in and complete your lab activities. So it works a little bit different to where you're not there. That keeps the numbers of students that are in the building at a time down to half of what it used to be, because there's no classroom and involvement. It's only lab. So everything's done online. As you complete it, then you schedule your work to come into the lab activity. That's for all the self-paced programs. The automotive program, though, is a little bit differently driven because we do, the ASE, Automotive Service Excellence, requires you to have a certain percentage of your time in the lecture, and they limit the 25% your e-learning ability or your e-learning time period is required for each class. So anyway, here you're going to do some lecture, driven, and then you'll have about 25% online through using MindTap at Cengage, and then you'll get into the labs and complete all your assignments. That's the only program that's set up that way. All of our other programs are through course sites, and we'll do everything up front. So if you look at it on the aspect that if you sign up for a flip program and it's a 96 contact hour course, that takes you, if you're doing 5.5 hours a day, 4 days a week, takes you about 16 to 18 days to complete. That's what's scheduled. But using a flipped classroom model, you can enroll into a course and you have the weekend, you have Friday, Saturday. Not too many people get on the computers on Sunday to do classwork, but some do. But you can work through a lot of your lecture portion a lot faster than just what's limited by the 4 days per week. So I've had several of my students this summer complete the lecture programs within a week and a half time period. And then I give them a whole lot more time in the labs to complete their labs. And they've actually finished a week to a week and a half earlier than what their originally scheduled date was because of the time that they can put in. Our flipped classroom model with course sites, we can monitor how much time you are logged into a program and what area and how long it takes you to do a test, and all of those things are tracked through reporting processes. So we do still have an attendance for your online portion per se, but when you come into the labs, you'll have to have face masks on. There's a certain protocol that has to be adhered to. There are signs on the doors that tell you, ask you if you've got a fever, if you've been to other countries, and just a self-assessment of what's going on with your health. So we don't want to get anybody affected. And, you know, the whole thing is about staying safe right now with our buildings and the way we are doing things in the protocol from the state, as well as our own self-imposed protocol. So you got any questions about or you have any concerns about your health or not feeling well, just don't come in. We'll schedule a time later. That being said, we only had one small incident during the summer, and it wasn't one of our students. It was a family member of a student who possibly, and it causes some major issues when we have to shut down a facility because of possibility of a test, and then we have to wait for a possibility. So if you're not feeling well, just don't come in, because we don't even want a possibility of having to close a lab or restrict people to the building. So, okay, I think that covers the flipped classroom model.
Yeah, we're doing the same thing as well. When students come into the aviation, obviously learning how to fly an airplane online is not very doable. So coming into the hangar, you'll actually meet your instructor at the door. You'll either call or text him that you're here. They'll come let you in and kind of have a sanitation station that students will move through and make sure that everything is okay before you'll go out to the airplane. The airplane is being wiped down, sanitized type of thing before and after our flights. Again, just try to minimize it. And we did have a student, I think, that had tested positive, that they hadn't been at CTC. They hadn't been out to the airport at least in a couple of weeks, and they went through the quarantine process and stuff, and then got released to come back and start flying as well. So like I said, we're doing everything here that we can possibly to make sure that students are going to be safe and hopefully not touched by others.
So I'm going to ask that if anybody has any questions, please go ahead and type them into the chat box. That way the professors can actually address any questions that are specific to either the program that you're interested in. It could be anything about classes, the way they're taught, anything that that you might have a question on. Please, this is a great time for you to ask those. Type them into the chat box. This is, you know, it's not always, especially with everything going on. I mean, this is a great opportunity for you to ask that burning question that you might have from either one of these professors. They are pretty much experts in their fields, and they oversee their departments and most of these programs, except maybe one. So this is the opportunity to really clarify anything that you might have. Like they said, this is probably the only cohort that we've had so far where pretty much every single class has a component that requires the student to meet on campus. A lot of the stuff that we're doing other than these classes, a lot of it includes information on the classes themselves are mostly either online and or what we call synchronous learning. And so this is kind of a unique, it's very unique compared to the other cohorts. So I know some of you I'm noticing some of the same names that have been kind of going through each one of the clusters today in the cohorts. So thank you for listening in to the different presentations, because hopefully this will clarify some of the questions you have as to what you want to do when you grow up. I'm always still trying to figure out what that means, because I love learning. I'm just a lifelong learner. So any questions typed in? No? Sure? Do you feel like you got the answers that you were looking for, or were you looking for something else? Because sometimes that's another thing, if you have a question or you didn't know what you needed and then something else develops, but if you thought that this was going to cover something different that maybe hasn't been covered, this is a great time to, I think this is a manageable group that we can answer a lot of these questions right now. So kind of let us know. Also in terms of, so I think one of them, I don't know about this, Rick, if you can answer, but for you guys, the students, do they have to register through WebAdvisor, or do they have to come see you guys directly? Oh, you're muted.
So they can do it through WebAdvisor. They'll contact us. A lot of our courses require departmental approval before they can enroll. So they can get a hold of me or Ariel Sanders, our office assistant, and she can give those petitions out as well. So, for example, for the private pilot course, we require students have a second-class medical, an FAA second-class medical. So once students show proof of that, then we can give a petition and have them sign up. In the past, we've had some students that signed up for the class. We were past that first day, they paid money, and then we found out they don't meet the medical standards. And it was a little bit of a problem trying to get a refund to them and that type of thing. Do that. So we always make sure that students can have a second class medical before they sign up for our program. So they can take the other classes, the urology, aircraft science, and those don't require petitions. It's just the ground school classes that go along with our flight courses that require them.
And I think you're one of the few programs that has fees that are not just tuition. Is that correct?
Correct. Yeah. Other than tuition, our flight fees is what everybody has a hard time coming up with. The private pilot course is about $7,800. The second one we take is around $55,000. We now actually have some courses that are over $10,000. So that's why I said that payment plan, and we do have some scholarship type programs that are out there. I think we have 6 individual aviation scholarship programs that advanced students can really apply for. We just recently have received some donations that are going to allow us to have, even these students are going to be able to have a possibility for some scholarships and stuff. So it is expensive learning how to fly, and we've been lucky enough to be able to get some money that allow students to utilize those funds to help offset some of those expensive flight courses. So.
Thank you. And I have a question here. When you say returning students, how does that work for spring semester? I'm a new student, so I'm just getting some exposure. I'm guessing when we talk about returning students, it means that you have already taken at least 1 or 2 classes with CTC, and that can make a difference. For example, I know in the way that programs in industrial technology, it's a little bit different how your students register when they're brand new versus when they are returning students. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. If they've been away from the programs for more than 6 months, they'll need to go back to see the advisors. But if they've been away from the programs for just a couple of months, because the advisors primarily will make sure that their degree plan is still a valid degree plan and there's no big changes that's happened. If they've been gone just a couple of months and they're trying to return from or skipped a semester, then they could go see their instructor who controls their records for their classes, and they can sign them up for their next class. Just all of our instructors, as they complete courses, as a student completes courses, the instructor is the one that registers them for their next course. So if they've only been gone for a semester, then they can come in and see the instructor, or Jamie, the office assistant. She can help get them registered for their next course. The advisor, Arcade advising team does the initial for that degree plan, and that's all. They get you started. After that, it's either my office or the instructor that'll sign you up for the next course. That's for all the industrial technology courses. Now for the CAD program, that you'd have to go back in and see Melidia, I think is the name. Melida, okay. You have to go back in and see her. She's the one that will register you for those classes.
So I hope that kind of explains when we're talking about returning students, it just means that it's like your second semester or you've already had some classes with us. In the what we call the CATE Center, which includes industrial technology and the CAD program, they work a slightly different, or they have in the past. Now they're starting somewhat to have a similar format to the other classes, but they work differently than traditionally they've worked than the what I would say other college classes have been. They have their own semesters and things like that. Where and aviation, even though they follow more of the traditional semester because of the flight issues, sometimes that and I say flight issues, it's more weather related things. If the weather's not right for you to learn, then you're not going to be able to fly until it's in a condition that is going to be appropriate for you to learn what you need to learn. I have never taken an aviation class, but I have had the pleasure of working with multiple aviation students that they have worked for me in my student lounge and as ambassadors and things of that nature, and they are the best at what they do. But I also knew that if the weather was nice, I was gonna get a call, and they were gonna be like, "Hey, I have a chance to fly today. I'm sorry," and I knew that that was gonna come first because that is part of their education. As long as it was for flight reasons and that I could verify it, I was okay with it. And most of the time, I could verify it because they would have you could see the glimmer in their eyes or the skip in their step because they were going to fly that day. So if you're in aviation, I promise you, I will be able to see you at a mile away. Just because when it's day to fly, we will know. So anyway, that's just my 2 cents. Any other questions or any other comments? I know that there's a lot of you that are new, and this is, I hope, will help answer a lot of your questions and make you feel more comfortable with what to expect in for your classes and for the future. Oh, great question here. Will there be apprenticeship or internship programs provided for aviation?
So with internship programs in aviation, obviously the world kind of changed in 2020. There are internship programs and opportunities for a student that's going to Texas A&M Central Texas. Our program kind of feeds into A&M Central Texas as far as a bachelor's degree in aviation, and there are some internship programs there. One of the main things that our students will go through, the associate's degree will lead to a commercial pilot certificate. Most of our students will go on and get their flight instructor certificate and actually work for us to build flight time. Between getting a degree and being able to work for the airlines. The airlines require, that they changed a few years ago, require 1,500 hours of flight time. So one of the ways that a majority of pilots get that flight time is through flight instructing. So students will finish their degree, will get their flight instructor certificate, and actually come to work for us for a couple of years before going to the air.
Yeah, I see the next question. I can answer that one. The construction and HVAC both have apprenticeship programs or courses that are 304 contact hours of apprenticeship, and we use our local industry partners for those internships.
So great questions. Great questions. Thank you, Michael. You have been awesome the entire day. Michael's hung in there with us all day long. That's great. So any other questions? Anybody else? Things that maybe anything? No one? Speak now. Before we end the session, because if we don't have anything else, then I just want to say thank you to all of you for participating and asking your questions and letting us know, kind of where you're at. I really want to give a special thank you to Ronnie and Rick for participating today and, spending all this time with us, giving us this great information. I hope everybody found it you got what you needed from it, and that you feel a little bit better now about the programs and what they offer. I hope to see you around, even if it's virtually again. Oh, a good question. Thank you. What is the best way to contact the VA for questions on the post 9/11 GI Bill? Great question. Yes, we can totally, I can show you, well, there's actually a whole video on this in our CTC YouTube page, and let me get it, and I am going to go ahead and give you, but I will also share, I'm going to share the screen in a minute, and I'm going to show you the other thing that is going to help you with the VA let me find this video real quick. Because this video actually will inform you on how to do a lot of the things that you need to through for the VA. I think I went too far. Wait. I got financial aid. Veteran services. Here it is. Okay. So I'm going to, it's a little bit long, so I'm not going to share it, but I am going to put the link here in the chat box, so that you can actually select it and you can watch it at your leisure. And then once you're ready to actually, if you want to talk directly through them, I mean, they're gone for today, but tomorrow, well, I'm not sure if they work tomorrow, if not Monday. I can show you here, you should be able to see. All right, so if we go to under students, wait, you said VA. Yes. So under students, military veterans, if you come to this area over here, there is a live help. I don't know if you can see it, but you should be able to see this live help. It tells you the hours. Oh, it says Fridays are open from 8 to 11 in the morning. You are welcome to go ahead, and it's a chat. So if you click on that, it's going to ask you for your first name, last name, if you have a CTC ID, or your birthday, your email address, phone number, and describe your issue. And that's going to take you directly to and allow you to chat with somebody from the VA, the Central Texas College Veterans department, not the VA from the federal government, but our VA. So if you have questions as to how to submit paperwork or anything like that, I would recommend that you watch the video first. And then if that still doesn't answer your questions, then go ahead and chat with them. This is probably one of the best, the best ways of getting a hold of them, and you get answers fairly, you can actually talk to somebody pretty much in the spot and get your questions answered, okay? So I hope that answered your question. Feel a little better about that? Yeah.
Is that part of the Vet Success Center?
Well, Vet Success is actually veteran, like VA people from the federal government, from the Veteran Affairs Services, that they actually work with us on CTC. This is our veterans program where they first have to talk to the people from the VA, the federal program. They have to get some paperwork done through them and submit it. Once that's completed, then they come to us, they register for their classes, and then they have to basically submit it so that it's basically the office that connects CTC with that voucher from the government and makes sure that the classes get paid, and everything else that comes with it is also taken care of.
I always have them contact the Vet Success. I don't know, Mr. Morgan is the one that most people see and stuff. So.
Yes,
Yeah,
Mr.
they're right. They're in the same hallway together. Their offices are next door to one another now. So, but yeah, Mr. Morgan and his team over there at Vet Success will help answer or make any resolve of any issues that you may have with trying to get your veterans benefits.
And I will go ahead and put his email. He is currently not working at CTC because I talked to him today and this week. But even though he's not, they're working from home. They're still answering their phones. They're working from home. They're not local. They're not coming into the office at CTC, but they're working from home. And so they are still answering questions. And so if you email them with any questions, they will also guide you through the process. That is his phone number, and james.morgan3@va.gov. I know that he also has a Central Texas College email that he checks, but this is the one he's been sending me stuff through, so I'll give you that one. So
Morgan at ctcd.edu. So.
Okay, thank you. I'll put it in here too. .morgan@ctcd.edu. Either one, I think he's checking both, honestly. And he definitely loves talking to the students and wants to help. So reach out to him. It helps him a lot. He's happy to help. Great questions and thanks. See, teamwork. See how we can all figure it out together if you ask? We'll make it work. Okay, what else? Anybody else? Oh, what type of skills and traits will we be expecting from HVAC and aviation?
Well, the HVAC program starts off with our basic technician courses where you learn the fundamentals to be in like a lab or a assistance to a technician, where you basic refrigeration, basic electricity, heat pumps, and that kind of covers that first certificate. Then it gets you off into more direct types of building systems and manufacturing or making commercial type refrigeration, not just air conditioning systems, but large refrigerators and coolers, and what you have to do to service those and take care of those. Again, that program is a self-paced lecture lab. You take one course at a time. As you complete it, you move on to your next course. And it's available or open from actually 10 in the morning till 10 at night. So your schedule is kind of open for what you need to do. So.
And then from the aviation side of it, to learn how to fly, obviously the skills and traits that you bring in, and hand-eye coordination, communication skills. A lot of people are always a little bit nervous about the math. We do performance charts and takeoff distance, cruise flight, and obviously planning out the cross country and stuff. But if you have pretty basic type of math skills, you're able to work through those types of things and become a pilot.
Yeah, the one thing about HVAC is heavy on electricity. So the more you know about electricity and being able to troubleshoot using multimeters, the better you're going to be.
Okay, awesome. All right, I think that's it. Unless anybody has any questions, I am going to say again, thank you to everybody for participating. This has been great. We had great interactions, and so I want to say thank you to all. And I hope you have a great night. Remember, we're here to answer any questions anytime. So even right now, you may not have questions, but you're welcome to contact us at any point. And if we don't know the answers, we will figure out somebody who does and make sure that you get the service and the information that you need so that you're a successful student. That is ultimately what we want, believe it or not, is to make sure that you are successful in your classes and that you graduate. And I think most of well, this year's been a little off, but graduation is one of my favorite days because you actually get to see, especially those of you that work with cohorts and all of that, with groups that you work with for a while, then you all of a sudden you see them get that accomplishment and then finding out what they did, what the student did with the things that you taught them and that you guided them through. I know that makes me really happy when I see a student. Even here, I usually deal with student lounge, and I see a student struggling, and all of a sudden they overcome it, and then they become this amazing individual with all these amazing skills. And it just, that moment of blossom, I think, is what most instructors and people in education really live for. So we hope to be able to see that with you guys in the future. Thank you very much, and have a great night.